Alright, this is going to be a weekly recap from March the 14th to the 18th, and I had a total of 9 trades. I made just $6.49. That was trading with just $1,100 of volume, so just, all of the positions I had, and, all of these trades equal up to uh, just $1,100, which isn't very much. And I think overall this could be something great if I could add a 0, 2, or 3 zeros. And the OTCs right now do offer the amount of volume for me to be even able to trade such large positions, so that this entire work that I did here could just be with another zero, and instead of making 6, I could have made 60, 600, or $6,000. Let's go ahead and go over the week, and I had 5 green trades out of the 9 trades, and these 2 trades right here, these were just speculative trades. I didn't want to necessarily trade a dollar risk level. I just wanted to throw in a small amount of shares just to see if it was something that would play out or not, and have some actual money on the line, although not a lot. The one thing I could have done better really with this week is that I should have traded to my dollar risk level. That was a pretty big issue here. You can see this is where I calculate what my dollar risk level was according to how many shares I traded and the price. And these two don't really matter because, again, I was trading too small. But as you can see with a lot of these setups, I didn't really stick to a $10 risk level. I under traded a lot, especially on these 2 last trades where I could have, in theory, have traded so much larger, and I would have made this week so much more profitable. But that is my issue here, and that is something I have to work on. At least it's not like a crazy issue or anything like that. I did end up green on the week, and just looking at the stats, most of my trades were according to my dollar risk level, but I want to bring that higher. My average dollar gain was $1.82, but compared to my average dollar loss, that's pretty nice. My average percent gain was 3%. My average percent loss was about half, and I didn't like this. Just a small difference, but my average dollar position size on a losing trade was slightly larger. I do need to really make sure I trade the appropriate size on all setups, because I end up, trading a setup that works more often than not, and it's not good to be full size on the setup that doesn't work out and then be undersized on one that does work out, because that's not very good for the mind, and I have to work on that. And yeah, that was about it for that. Um, I did alright in whether the setups worked or not, and how I traded, how I felt that I traded the setup. Let's go ahead and go over these trades one by one, and yeah, just do the complete weekly recap. Let's look at DPLS for the 14th of March, and this was a morning panic bounce play setup. So let's look at DPLS. So DPLS has been pretty popular because it started to have this run up from this 2-cent level up to 8 cents. So that's a pretty nice percent move. And on top of that, when a stock does this, something like this, it can be very nice for morning panic bounce plays. As you can see, I traded this on the 14th, which looks like a pretty good day to try a setup like a morning panic bounce play. Although I guess looking at this now, it just faded the entire day and had another drop here. I don't necessarily try to trade panics later in the day because they don't tend to work as nicely, but I traded the one in the morning, and let's take a look at that one. I was in at 9:35 a.m. and I bought at 834. 9:35 was right here at 834. So I thought the morning panic bounce play was going to play out here. It had a drop from this 89 level, and at this point right here, there was a wick here, a bottom of a candle here, and I got in at the beginning of 9:35. I thought this was the bottom of the morning panic bounce play. Clearly was not the case because it did drop much lower. And let's see what my exit was. I got out the same minutes at 832. 9:35, 832. So I was out right here, 832, and I was in at 835. Barely lost anything, and that's really good for a setup like this where I wasn't right. I didn't get the actual bottom. It was, still a long ways ago, but I remember this was trading back and forth. It was very jumpy, and I remember getting in, and when I saw that it broke even lower, I placed a sell order, and I was able to get out. I lost, yeah, just $1, but in terms of dollar risk level, I was close to my $10 risk level. it was just a setup where I didn't get the very bottom. And I did a really good job cutting losses here with a $400 position. Yeah, it didn't work out. It did eventually work out. And I think I was also having issues with E-Trade Level 2 being weird. Or at this point, maybe it was fine. But yeah, I didn't get the actual bottom. It did eventually make a move, although it was kind of ugly the way it did. A very widespread here. But, you know, it did make a move eventually from this 81 level to VWAP, which is 84. And it got to 88, so that's a 10% move. Not bad. It was a good attempt. It didn't work out when I was in. Let's look at Rivn. This is a listed stock. This is a morning panic bounce play higher low setup. Let's look at Rivn for the 14th. Alright, so this one's been downtrending a lot. You can see it went from the 65 level as low as 36, and at some point people are going to be trying to nail the bottom for some kind of reversal. It tried here, right, just a little bit, but then it came back down. Let's look at the 14th, which is right here. I was in at 935. Oh, that was the wrong one. I was like, wait a minute. 1035 at 35.65. So let's just say 35.66 at 1035. Right here. And I was in it right around here. So why was I interested in this? It just had that morning panic. It dropped from 37. It got as low as 35, which isn't much because it is a higher priced stock, but the pattern is still there. You can see the drop, the bottoming, and then it had an uptrend, right? It broke past VWAP, and it got to this level, and then it came back down. And the idea was that this is going to be the first higher low off of this panic bottom. Ideally, it will continue the uptrend, break past VWAP, make a new high as it did right here, and then, you know, the goal will be then maybe another downtrend, which will be higher than here, and then it can continue the uptrend and do something nice for a few times and make money off of it. It looks like the setup here did work out. Let's look at my exit. I was out 1041 at 35.79, so right here. Yeah, so I still got in and out in the same range. I was probably just thrown off with the price action looking all scary and freaky. Again, I was in at 1035 and I got out at 1041, which was right here at this 35.80 level. It worked out eventually. It went to 36, right? But yeah, I was just probably thrown off with the price action. Listed stocks are like that. They're kind of weird. They're kind of choppy. They're not as clean as a list as a OTC, and that was probably the case with that. Yeah, I didn't like how it did it, and I wasn't full size. In theory, I wanted to be in 2 position sizes, but I didn't like how it was working, so I got out of the half position I was in. Seems like. Yeah. This is something that happens with OTCs, and they're very nice. Clearly worked out here, but the way it did it was kind of gross, and that's fine. That's good practice, I think, trading a listed stock. Let's look at the next trade, which is DPLS. And this is a morning panic bounce play that did not work out. Let's look at DPLS for the 15th. So this is the day after the first red day, and it seems like it had another red day, so I traded that as well. This is it. I was in at 937.667. 937.667 right here. So the idea is that it had the bottom, right? I guess we'll count this one potentially, and it went as low as this level right here. So, you know, had in theory a morning panic bounce play, although this one isn't very clean. And then I got in right here when it looked like it was going to make a bottom here, uptrend, and then come back near the bottom just a little bit, and in theory maybe make a move towards VWAP and something much further than that, which would have been nice. I mean, 66 to 71, that wouldn't be that bad in terms of percent difference. I got out the next minute at 67 flat. So right here, I got out at 67, and I probably got out because I didn't like the price action. I didn't like how VWAP was close, and it was a good attempt, and yeah, it did eventually break under this level. It did eventually make a bottom here, and it made a move from 62 to 66, which would have been nice, but I tried here. It didn't work out here. It's been something that I've tried to get better at when I'm in a setup and it doesn't work out, but it downtrends or uptrends, and now it looks like the setup might play out again, and I try to take that. In this case with DPLS, I just don't like the way it trades back and forth with a spread, but it did do the thing I was thinking about. So yeah, it didn't work when I got in, but it worked eventually, just at another range. Let's look at DPLS again. And that was the same day, so I traded it twice. Upset now, this is a morning panic bounce play. Higher, low, and cup and handle. Alright, let's look at DPLS. I was in at 6.4, 10.01. 10.01 was right here, and I was in at 6.4. So I was thinking, okay, the morning panic bounce play played out here. Makes an uptrend and downtrends, very similar to that trade with Rivn. It has the bottom, it gets to VWAP, and then it comes back, and now it can be a higher low off of here. This one clearly did not work out, and I got out the next minute at 64. This was a speculative trade. Yeah, I traded just a tiny $32 position just to see if it would work, and in that case it did not work, and I got out because of the level 2 price action. I was in the trade for less than a minute, so I probably saw something I really didn't like in the level 2. And yeah, that was a speculative trade. It just didn't work out. Okay, let's look at the next trade. I had to go back and make an edit and adjust something. It turns out I had the wrong day for this trade here with DPLS. I traded DPLS 3 times. The morning panic bounce play, that didn't work out. And then the morning panic bounce play, the higher low, which didn't work out either. And now this is the third trade. I accidentally had the 16th, so I didn't understand why the price was off from the time that I bought. But let's look at DPLS for the 15th. This is now the third setup, the third trade on the same day, and the 15th is back here. This is a morning panic bounce play, lower low setup. I was in at 10.18 and I was in at 6.12. Okay, so 10.18. So what was the idea here? This is officially it. I tried here, it didn't work out. This is a morning panic bounce play. It uptrended, got to VWAP, and now I thought this would have been a higher low. I tried a speculative trade there, speculative size. It didn't work out. Obviously, it didn't get to VWAP or uptrend. It downtrended instead. I didn't like the price action, and now I'm in it right here at 10.18, thinking that, okay, this is now the lower low off of this level, and now I can try to at least make a move toward the upside. Worst case is that it's going to make another lower low, but you know, if that happens, I'm going to profit from the uptrend before it makes a lower low, or it'll just break off like it did right here in this setup right here that I tried. So again, I was in right here at 10.18 at this 6.1 level. I got out at 10.21, 6.25. So right here, 10.21, 6.25. So near the top of this green candle, it did get close to VWAP, which would have been 64 too, but it would have been hard to sell at the very top here. That would have been a sell at the ask or this 636 level. My sell at 625 wasn't too bad, but if I held or maybe stayed a little more patient, which I probably could have because I could see that it's trying to follow like a trend line from the bottom of these candles. In theory, I could have maybe have sold a little higher, but then, you know, I've noticed that there's some kind of wall here at, you know, right under VWAP, and I could have maybe have sold at the bid here at 6.3. But this wasn't a bad setup for what it was. And was I sized in appropriately? I was not sized in appropriately. I should have had twice the amount of shares. And that would have been a little better. In best case, I probably could have tried selling at 63, but that's about pushing it. Not a bad attempt for DPLS right here. And it's nice that I at least got a part of this price action here and I made money off of that. And it did get to VWAP here, and then it eventually did it here, but that was much later in the day. So again, I tried here, didn't work out. I missed this one, but I didn't like the way it traded. I tried here a speculative size, it didn't work out, and then I tried here and I, you know, was able to profit from it. Of course, ideally it would have broken past VWAP, and then that would have been super nice, and I would have sold maybe at 66, which would have been cool. But let's just see what a sell at 65.5 would have been with the right amount of shares. And again, trading with a $10 risk level. That would have been 21 bucks. That would have been pretty cool. And of course, it didn't actually, get up there. But that's in theory what a lot of setups can do. Let's look at the next trade, which is HYMC. This is a listed stock, so I'm less likely to be profitable on these. And I only lost $1 here. I did trade according to my dollar risk level. I have a smaller $5 risk level right now with listed stocks, and the percent loss isn't nice, but that can happen with listed stocks. Let's look at HYMC for the 16th. That's the 15th. This is the 16th right here. Very jumpy, volatile stock. That's the 17th. 16th is right here. In theory with this one is that it was, I guess let me just go over my entry first. I was in at 10:28 a.m. at, let's just say 140 average. 10:28 was right here when I had my first entry. So right here in this candle, or maybe this one. No, yeah, it was this one right here. But my average was 140. So as you can see, in theory, I was in 140 average out with my 2 entries, and I had 1 entry right here, and I had another one right here. This one didn't really play out. I mean, it kind of played out, but it wasn't too nice. But the idea with this one is that it had this crazy move from this 31 penny level. It got as high as $2, and as you can see, the top of this candle, bottom of these candles is around this level right here, this 140 level. So it just had a drop from the 160s, and it got as low as 130. And my idea was that, okay, it did get to the bottom, but it made a nice move towards the upside. It came back, it did it again, and now it's trading again off of this level. So I was in it 2 pieces. I thought that it could try to hold the 140s level and then make another move towards the upside. Best case scenario, it breaks VWAP and be super profitable, which it eventually did right here. But when I traded it, it didn't work out. I was in 1/2 of my size right here because I already saw it make a move here. Then it came back a little higher than here. And then it's uptrending. And then I thought, okay, let me be in just half my position so that if it continues the uptrend from here, which it didn't, of course, but if it did, I would be in half a position size and I'll be able to profit from it. But if it drops near the level, again, this 140-ish level, this 136 level, then I'll be able to add in the other half of the trade, and then I'll be in full size. But I'll be in half size so that if it works out here, I didn't miss out because I wanted to buy it on the dip and it never does it. So that was the idea with that, and I was in right here when I saw that it downtrended right, but it started to consolidate off of this level. I got out at 10:41, so I held this for a while at 136 right here, and I got out right here because it really looked like it was going to break under it. It was a bit scary, and I was worried that maybe it's going to maybe break the level, and then a huge red candle like a listed stock can do flashes, and then I'm down a lot, or worst case it gets halted. I was really just really precautious with this one, and it didn't really play out. I mean, it did drop a little level, it did break this level, which was nice support, which would have been scary to hold through this, and it did uptrend, right? But it wasn't the real move until it was right here, which was ideally what I would have liked, but that was much later in the day. I guess the volume picked up, which really made it start to work out, and that would have been nice from the 138s to the 150s. That was a nice attempt there. It didn't work out, but I'm pretty happy with the way I traded this one. Let's look at the last 3 setups, which are sub pennies that I did not trade according to my dollar risk level. But this one was a speculative trade, you can see right here. Let's look at BNOW for the 17th. So you can see it's a pretty dead stock, but it woke up with great news and a whole bunch of volume. Let's highlight the 17th. And the setup was a trend line follow long, so I'll go over that. But I was in right here 304 at 58. 304, so that was much later. I believe right here, yeah, 304 at 58. Why was I in it here? I didn't see this entire run up. I was working after the morning, and this one was one of those I just kept out trending throughout the entire day. And I just threw in a small amount of size. It wasn't, again, a large position size. It was like a $30 position. And I don't trade commissions with TD immediate trade, so I mean, I'm not using TD immediate trade. I'm using Fidelity, so I don't have to pay commissions. I can trade a small $30 position, and it's not gonna, you know, impact me in any way because I won't pay commissions on that. As you can see, this thing throughout the entire day basically followed this trend line. You can see it followed it here, followed it here, followed it here, 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 and my idea was, all right, well, maybe I'll be in right here, and it's going to continue to follow the trend line, right? And some of these, when they're uptrending throughout the entire day, and like the last hour of the day or the last 2 hours, it does like a really exponential move towards the upside because people are really trying to get in on the setup. Maybe shorts are getting squeezed. Maybe not too likely with this one being a sub penny stock, but that could have totally have happened. And again, I was in it for that reason that maybe there's going to be a continuation. Again, at 304, I was in. 58, just a very small speculative size. And I got out 306, 57. So right here, 306, 57. It just didn't work out because I didn't like the price action and it looked like it was going to really break the level. And it did eventually, as you can see, at 312, which was 6 minutes after I sold. I didn't like the price action, and while it still was able to hold on a bit longer, it broke it eventually. But I got out because I just saw how the price action wasn't looking good, and I got out because it just didn't seem like it was going to continue the uptrend, which is totally fine. In theory, it did break under it, and then it kind of came back a little bit, very volatile, you know, and it's a sub penny, so a little sketchy. I wouldn't have traded this, but I just threw in a small amount of size to see if that would have worked there, and it didn't, and I just lost 50 cents, but I think that was well worth the experience. Let me get a drink of water, and I'll be back for the last two trades here. All right, it is now the last two trades here, and these were very nice trades, very nice percent gains. Kind of sad, but this is like the highest percent gain I've had the entire year so far, at least as of March. And I'm glad I was able to get this trade, but I was severely undersized right here. Let's look at Bmow for the 18th. So this was the next day, higher day breakout morning range, and let's look at the next day. Let's also get rid of this drawing here. Okay, if I know how to remove it, there it is. Big red candle. That's why I don't really try to trade morning panic balance plays on the stock that's only up one day, even if it's up a lot, because a lot of them just do something like this. Although it did uptrend a bit more. It did get to the 75 level, and the top of the first day was 64, so it did make a move, but it eventually failed and sold off. But let's look at my entry. I was in at 939.67. I'm going to zoom in a bit more since that was closer in the morning. And let's try to get rid of the extended hours right here. I was in at 939.67 right here. Why? Because it looked like it was trading in this range throughout the morning, as you can see from this 930 level to 939. The top was 67, the bottom was 62, and it looked like it was going to break past 67 and make like a morning spike, which was ideal. And I was in it right here at 67, and I remember I was going to cut it if it were to have broken under VWAP, which was 64, which means if I was in it at 67 right here in the downtrends, and then it breaks VWAP, I'll be out at 63 or 62, which is the bottom here. Worst case, maybe 60, but that's not very likely, at least from what I would expect out of it. And I got out at 941.73. I think it was, to be precise, 72.5. Yeah, 72.5. So I was out right here basically right here. It did get as high as 75. I got out because I saw like a million share seller at 74, and while I did get to 75, it did top. I'm really happy with the way I traded this one overall. Except that I was severely undersized, as you can see. Worst case scenario, what was my cut? Yeah, my cut was at 63. Again, if it were to have broken under VWAP when I was in it right here. And mind you, the bottom of these two candles were higher than it was back here. So it was clearly showing some kind of a sign that it was uptrending and maybe going to break the, the top right there. I guess in theory, I should have traded 50,000 shares. No, maybe 25. Yeah, that would be just under a $10 risk level. I would have made 15 bucks, which would have been pretty cool. Totally had the opportunity to do something like that, but I was severely undersized. And let's look at JPEX. And the issue with this one is that because I traded such a small position on this setup right here, I didn't want to trade a full-sized position here, and that maybe this one doesn't work out. So I was partially in a setup that worked out, and then the next setup that didn't work out was full size, and then I have a red day. I didn't want that, and I was being petty. I shouldn't have done that. But let's look at JPEX for the 18th. Right here's the 18th. Yeah, a nice downtrending stock. It's offered a lot of opportunities when it has a gap down. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to really participate from this one, but let's go over the 18th, which is right here. And this was a first dip under VWAP, so it had a morning spike and I nice uptrend and then it downtrends, right? And then it kind of broke under VWAP right here, and then in theory it can do the thing that I mentioned with that other two stocks, especially Rivn. Let's look at my entry. I was in at 930, not this one. I was in at 1017.66. Right here I was in at 66. And it downtrended. It made a bottom right here at 65. Made a move towards the upside, but then it kind of came back. So that's why I was in it right here when it looked like it was going to play off of the 65 level and then make a move past VWAP ideally. And I was in it right here at 66 because I probably saw something in the level 2 looking like it was going to make a move towards the upside again. And I got out the same minute actually at 68. Was that completely 68? Yep. And it looks like I wasn't really in at 66. I was in at 65. Almost at 66, but still in the 65s. I got out at 68, which was right here. And why did I get out of it quickly? I wanted it to be like a slow, gradual move towards the upside. So when it has like this big candle and it just shoots towards the VWAP, it didn't necessarily get there, but it got close. I sold into that, and it eventually did play out. It did downtrend here. It broke under the 65 level, but then it eventually did what I wanted right here. As you can see, it was holding support under VWAP for the first time after it had a really nice move from 53 to 88, and then you can see it gradually went from 65 to the 70s. This is what I wanted here, but it didn't work out here. It worked out here. Ideally, this section never existed, and it just downtrended, and then it did the thing here. So that was it. It just didn't really work. I mean, it did work a little, right, but not the ultimate move that I wanted. I might even change this and say that it kind of worked. It just wasn't necessarily how I wanted it to have been. And yeah, that's about it. In theory, I should have traded according to my dollar risk level. And let's just quickly see what that would have been if I traded the right size on all of my setups. Just to see what it would be without counting these two, of course. Right, I guess 15, and then this one is fine. And then this one should have been 5,000. And I didn't sell well on some of these setups too. I guess we'll put 60. And then this one I should have traded. And then this one would have been 50,000. No. That would have been it. And then this one right here. Yeah, I could have had a $30 week. And look, it went from $1,000 of dollar volume to 2,000, so it only doubled, but I would have made a lot more. I would have made like 6 times as much as I did this week. Not even like trading that much larger. It's not like I, added a zero on some of these. Some of these have just multiplied the size a few amounts. This is something that I could totally do, and this is still not even trading with a lot of volume. I see the setup, I see the blueprint, I see the path, and I have to keep working towards that. That's all I have. And yeah, I just have to keep improving. I need to stick to my dollar risk level and try working forward from there and eventually size in and trade larger size. A lot of work to do, but at least I'm picking the right setups. I just have to get better at trading the right size.